Thank you so much to Rifa and Samaya for such a thorough and important presentation about how to navigate the system. Up next, we have Cultivating a Trauma-Informed Workplace with NECA, with Chinenye, with Hadia, and with Tara.
All right. So we're coming to sort of the tail end of our wonderful 3-day Heartwork conference, and we thought it would be really important to hear from some of our team members what it's like working in the organization, what it's like being a part of the people who are creating the amazing programs you've been listening to and doing the amazing work. And I am very, very, very honored to be having this conversation with three of my favorite people. Well, they're all my favorite people, which is what I tell my kids. They're all my favorite people. But I have on the call, in this fireside chat, Tara, who is the project manager for our Advancing Gender Equity for Black Women, Black Girls, Black Gender Diverse, and Black Trans people in the Canadian context. I have Chinenye, she was a placement student and is now one of our team members who is supporting again on our, I think it's a Dawn project, you can correct me because she just recently started. And I have the spectacular Hadia, who is just finished her placement with us, and we are doing everything in our power to make sure that she doesn't leave. So there's that. So welcome. Do you want to wave, say something, do something? No? Okay. Okay.
Hi.
There we go. There we go.
Is my mic working? It's working.
Yes, it is. We can hear you
Great.
very, very well. We can hear you very well. So the team knows that I talk about, in a perfect world, if we waved a magic wand. And I just want to say I brought my magic wand with me, which shout out to Joanne Brooks, who she's now retired, was the ED of the Women's Sexual Assault Center of Renfrew County, and Kim Charlebois, who's a project coordinator with work that we did a couple of years ago. Actually, this is dated 2019, in creating our alternative model of justice. And they made these magic wands and give them out to survivors. It's got survivors, it's got believe, and then Joanne signed it. So my first question, as I wave my magic wand to the three of you, is: in a perfect world, and Neka's waving her magic wand, what does the workplace and our individual relationship with work look and feel like? What would it look and feel like to you? I think I will start with Tara.
Thank you, Neka. Hi, everyone. Very happy to be here. Very happy to chat with Adia and Shanenya. I'm happy for this conversation. Looking forward to it. I think if I wish I had a magic wand as well, but it's fine. We'll pretend. I think for me, because I've been working in the GBV sector for years now and different organizations, and what I do value here at Women at the Center is how our values can match with the values that are embedded in the organization and how we support survivors. So if I could wave my magic wand, because I think we live in a society where we have decisions to make in terms of jobs, but if I could wave my magic wand, it would be to work in an environment where my values of intersectionality, transformative justice, support for sex workers while understanding exploitation and human trafficking, all those values and ways of working, of practices, if they could be embedded and incorporated in an organization, I think that would be phenomenal. Yeah.
It's a beautiful, beautiful start. And thank you for leading with that. Chinenya, what about you? Magic wands waving, which I think we're going to make these now.
Right? Yeah.
Please do.
Part of our project, artwork.
Hi, everyone. I am also very excited to be here. And I love this question because it's the kind of wish you make to a fairy godmother, right? So if wishes were horses and Neka's magic wand is walking, my ideal workplace would be a place where, first and foremost, everybody leads with empathy. And in addition to shared values, as Tara had rightly mentioned, I would love for it to be a place where everyone feels welcomed. You look forward to going to work in the morning or whatever time it is because you know there's a connection between you and your colleagues. And I think this is particularly important because I was thinking that we spend a major part of our lives at work. I think about one third of our lives. So if one third goes to sleeping, and then the other two thirds is split between work and every other thing, that means that 50% of our awake time is spent at work.
Mm.
So that is really a lot of time. It's literally our lives that we're spending together. So it should be worth it, right? It should be a place where collaboration is promoted, and happiness and joy, and you're free to be yourself and make your mistakes and get corrected in love. My wishes. Thank you.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Hadi, what about you?
Hi everyone. Um, just to add to Tara and Chinenye's points, I think in an ideal workplace we don't just respect each other's diversity, but we also value the diverse identities that everyone in the workplace has, because that's really like a gift, having like such a diverse group of people that you're working with. We each have our own unique perspectives, and putting all those perspectives together, we can really like do some magical work, in my opinion. um, and to speak a little more on like the ideal relationship with work, I think especially in this sector, it should be something that you're really passionate about,
Mhm.
because if you're passionate about it, I don't know, it's just the best, like it's just the best way to go about it. Like um I don't know, I feel like in this, especially in this career field, like if you're not passionate about the work, like it's not the best place for you to be, because um it really matters for you for your heart to be in it. um but with that passion, I think it's really important that we also value things outside of work too. We don't put everything we have into our work, because it is a difficult field to be in. If we put all of our time and energy into it, we won't have anything left for ourselves, for our family, for our friends. So it's really important to prioritize self-care, and also prioritize spending time on your hobbies, spending time with your friends and family, things that you can do outside of work. And I know it's easier said than done, especially when your heart is in it, but being able to leave work at work, I think is really important,
Oh,
because even if you're spending time with friends and family, you're not going to be able to give them your all if your mind is constantly in the work.
I love that. I love that because it makes me think of putting boundaries as well, which is very hard at work in general, but especially if we work with survivors. As survivors, it's really hard to put those boundaries. So if it could be, if I could wave again my magic wand, I would make those spaces where there's boundaries that you could set yourself. Well, you can have some boundaries that you can put, and that it's welcomed and not judged, and understood as well. Because we are also survivors working as survivors, so those boundaries also are important. And something else that I like that you said, Adia, that all expertise is valued. I do think that sometimes some expertise, some diplomas or special expertise are more valued, and those are not. And I think we should value those as well in the workspace. Different expertise that is not related to diplomas or just experiences like grassroots initiatives,
mm.
initiatives with the community, work with the community that is not necessarily that is sometimes invisible. I think we should value that as well.
I'm really glad you're saying this, because when I think about what was in my heart when I started the organization, I've been an entrepreneur all my life. And every time I work with staff, I employ people, my whole vision and mission is to create spaces where people can be their authentic selves. And to your point, Taha, about the boundaries, making sure that people feel that they have voice, and that the hierarchy that exists, yes, there's hierarchy for accountability, so that somebody is responsible at the end of the day, but that those hierarchies are not sort of spaces or excuses to keep some people out and then have only certain voices in. And so for me, in creating the organization, I was thinking about, how can I do something? How can I create a structure where people can come in as their authentic selves, as I'm waving my wand, come in as their authentic selves and feel that they have a voice that won't be penalized for being different or having an alternative view from whoever is in leadership. Because I think that's honestly what everybody, I think, has seen these past 3 days, are the remnants, the impact of creating that type of magic wanded workplace. So this is really a beautiful way to start. And it leads me into the second question around the organization, your own personal experiences since you've been in the organization, whether as a placement student or as staff. And just for those who are listening in the crowd who don't know, Women at the Center has a habit of employing placement students. So every time somebody volunteers to, spend their placement hours with us, we do and they get to understand and know our work culture and our workspace, and we get to know them. Every time we have grants opportunities, we like to hire those people. So with the exception of Taha, who one of the few who the universe brought to us because our hearts were aligned, I'm curious to know how do you think we, Women at the Center, if you think we practice a trauma-informed workplace that actually meets survivors' needs? I'm gonna go back to Hadia this time, because I love the way you sort of brought it back to community and family and friends. Have you found working or doing your placement here?
I mean, it's been amazing. But one of the things I've really noticed, like one of the aspects of trauma-informed care that I really see here at Women at the Center is we really try to meet survivors where they're at. Like, because not everyone is in the same part of their healing journey, and healing isn't a linear process anyways. But we really try to not push them to take any steps they're not ready to take. And we give them the power. Well, we don't give it to them, they already have it, but we empower them to use that power to decide what they need, to identify their own needs. And we never push them to go in a direction that they don't want to or they don't feel they're ready to. And I think that's really important. And I've also really, really appreciated how it's not just something that we practice, but it's something that we learn about. There's always trainings going on, and it's just very valuable. I think that's really important. If you have a trauma-informed workspace, it's important that the education is ongoing on it. And that's something that I've seen at Women at the Center, and I really, really appreciate.
That's beautiful. Thank you for that little plug about the training. That's really important. Chinenya, what about you? How have you found the workplace and our efforts to meet survivors' needs?
Okay, I'd like to say, first of all, that my ideal workplace is with Women at the Center. It has been an amazing journey. Like you mentioned earlier, I started out as a placement student, and I was blessed beyond measure when I received the phone call and said, "Oh, we have a space for you." I have not stopped beaming since that phone
Oh.
call. because it's amazing working here, like for lack of better words. And I have found that we working with women at the center, her the organization has the trauma informed approach, and this is because first of all we are a group of survivors who are providing service to survivors. We are survivor led and survivor centered. So this means that everything we do is coming from the lens of the needs of a survivor. We are recognizing, appreciating, understanding that trauma is individualized and the journey is different for everyone. And like Hadia said, we are constantly being trained on this, but it's also kind of ingrained in us because each of us are bearing one form of trauma or the other, and we're handling it differently. Um, we understand that we can be re traumatized, so we avoid that effectively in our workplace, in our trainings, in our interaction with everyone around us. So it has been an amazing journey for me. I admit that sometimes probably content of trainings would cause triggers, but even in such spaces we have support. We recognize that this can happen, and we provide that room for someone to go through whatever this piece of information has cost them and find their way back on track, right? So I think that my organization, Women at the Center, is the best when it has to do with trauma informed care and maintaining a trauma informed workspace.
Aw. I didn't pay her to say that, honestly. Well, she gets paid, but I didn't pay her
For
to say
this.
that. But we appreciate that. Taha?
Uh, it was just amazing what Arya and Shananya said. What I would add is like I think a woman at the center, we understand that not it's not a one size fits all. So all survivors have their own path through healing, and we follow the rhythm that they want to take, and we don't push them over decisions that they don't want to take as well, and we respect their decisions on whatever decisions that they have to make. But what I like most as well is the way that it's catered to healing, not necessarily justice, but the justice as we understand it, and the punitive justice that as we understand it in society, that healing is centered, and the survivor decide what justice means to them, because there's different ways to understanding justice, and if we only look at the justice that we can get with our current system, we can be re-victimized, we can feel stigmatized, and we might not get the end intent that we wish to. So I like that it's catered to, it's trauma centered, but also centered on healing first, and the person to define what justice means to them. And it could lead to alternative modes of justice as well, as we have here, Women at the Center. Yeah.
I just want to explore that a little bit more. And it goes back to the conversation that Samaya and Rifa were saying about intersectionality and being able to come into a space and see people that look like you and see people that look like you across the sort of the hierarchy of the organization. How has that differed for those of you who have worked, whether in the gender-based violence sector or elsewhere? How has that experience of coming into this space and seeing intersectionality in action, how's that impacted your attitude and your sort of your performance and your output?
Mhm. I can I can go. I would say that in context, I live in Georgia, Montreal, so I've worked in the gender-based violence sector in different organizations who are very white and very white. So any other ideas or ways of working that is more catered to marginalized communities is not welcomed. So what I see is it's kind there's a weight lifted off my shoulder, because when I worked in those spaces I would have to explain why we have to do those, we have to cater to this survivor that way, and that it's a not one size fits all. So it's kind of, I don't have to explain why we have to welcome a Black woman that way, or why we have to ask someone's pronouns. Like, I don't have to ask all those different things that make someone feel safe. So I would say that's different. There's no like a push and pull and fight over the best practices that is catered to a survivor, and that here it's more understood, and it's really it alleviates the work as like a worker, in terms of I know what I say is right and I know what the survivor needs. So there's less like, I will say blah blah. I don't want to say blah blah, but yeah.
You can say blah blah.
Well, I said blah blah, so yeah. Okay, I would love to hear other folks speak on that.
Oh, who wants to jump in, Hadia?
I can go, yeah. For me, well, so the culture that I grew up in, like I'm South Asian, I grew up with a lot of stigma and misconceptions about GBV. So there's always been that all that stuff in the back of my head. But when I came to Women at the Center, like right from the get-go, like Samaya, my supervisor, also South Asian, and it was so empowering to like have her as my supervisor. She's also just amazing in general, and like just the best supervisor that I could have asked for. But just seeing everyone and seeing people that look like me and people that look different, like it's not just like just seeing all the diversity, basically. It just makes me I just feel really empowered by it, and I'm like, okay, if they can do it, then I can do it too. Like, because there was in the back of my head, like even like when I started the program at Sheridan, like in the back of my head, I was like, I don't know if I should be here. I don't know if like what gives me the right to be here. What gives me the right to be in a place where I'm supporting survivors, like but seeing like Samaya has just been wonderful. But I can't talk enough about how much I feel grateful to have her as my supervisor, but also just seeing everyone in the organization itself, like it's been a really empowering and almost like freeing experience, because it really has like just let me like open my mind up more.
Wow.
So.
Wow.
That's amazing, Hadia. And I'd like to add a little bit to what Hadia and Tara has said. I'd like to begin with the fact that this is the first time in my life that I'm in an organization that is led by a woman from my tribe. That was that was the wind that it just
Igbos.
blew me away.
Igbo.
Yes, we are Igbos. We are strong, and we are many more things. So coming into an organization that were all women from different backgrounds, mine included, that are juggling the different, challenges that life throws at us, and they are still moving along and making impact and helping lives and making change. That has been liberating. It has been enlightening, empowering. It has given me, it has activated my passion in life. Like now, I want to do stuff. I have gone through the phase where I just wanted to give up. Let's just leave, breathe until our nose is done breathing, then we're done. But now I want to do stuff. I want to be remembered for something. That is what being here has done for me. So thank you, Neka.
Wow.
Dalo.
Dalungwanem, my sister. Dalungwanem. That is so powerful. That is so powerful. And I think it's important that we talk about this because, like Tata was saying, the sector, specifically the gender-based violence sector, yes, I'm the founder and I'm the ED. Yet when I go out into the community, oftentimes I'm the only one that looks like me. And it's very, very lonely. And it can be very violent. The level of lateral violence that gets thrown, especially as a Black woman, right, that get the misogynoir and the gendered anti-Blackness that gets thrown towards Black women. And then you intersect it with being a survivor. The amount of pushback that I got at the beginning when I was thinking about starting the organization that was by and for survivors. And I realized afterwards that many of the people who were pushing back were themselves survivors. So there is this lateral violence of trying to sort of be obstacles in each other's way to ending it. And so it was really important for me to do my bit to create a space. But the beautiful thing is it's not just me, right? Because the people who come into the space have to do their part to uphold it. And so when I look at the team, when I look around at the people who are drawn to the organization, I can see that, you know, they are like-minded, they are heart-minded, and they share, as survivors, the same values of, you know, uplifting each other. So I don't take sole credit for creating this space. Everybody that is with us, right, whether as staff, contractors, placement students, volunteers, comes with that same trauma-informed, intersectional, disrupting the fuckery type mindset that I find so impactful, empowering. And I just want to go back to what Adi was saying about supervisors, the members of the staff. The way that we do the work, right, is I think about, we can't, how are you as a young person, for example, going to acquire supervisory skills if you're not actively practicing supervisory skills? And so right from the get-go, supervisors are members of the staff, whether they are actually supervisors on their title or project coordinators or directors. They are responsible for mentoring and sponsoring the young people, people that come into the organization. And something that really, really resonated with me from the film, Smaller Steps, was the knowledge that we have, right, as advocates and activists in the sector. How are we passing that on? And so just for the audience to know, some of these questions that I'm just asking was not on the it was not the ones that was brainstormed, but a lot of things were really, really sparked for me over the last 3 days. So I want to ask the three of you, how have you felt? Number one, how have you felt mentored? Have you felt mentored and sponsored in the work? And then secondly, what are you doing to mentor and sponsor others, not just in the work, but in the broader community?
I could start.
Okay, go for it.
Um, okay, I would like to give a shout out to my own supervisor, Rifa, because Rifa began this journey for me, and I'm here because of the amount of work that she put into me. So I have been mentored, tutored, and when I needed to be handheld, she was there to hold me. And I do not feel, apart from the regular butterflies you feel in your stomach, I do not feel anxious to step out and say, yes, I am this and I can do this. And that's because of the amount of work that my supervisors and tutors have put into my life and my work here, my hard work. So I'd like to thank Rifa, Samaya, Mandira, because they are never tired to, if to look at my work, make corrections, and they always allow me lead with my own thoughts first. So it's like, bring your own ideas, then let's tweak it. So with that, it's normal for one to grow. So I feel that growth, and that's the way I have felt mentored. And in me mentoring others, um, especially people in my community, with what I have learned so far from Women at the Center, I see myself reaching out to women in my circle, especially Black women, and sharing the knowledge that I have, letting them know of programs that we have available that they can benefit from, and also using the knowledge I have to speak up to the younger ones. It's still in my circle, teaching them about what happens, what is GBV, what is coercive control, and how do you know the signs, and how do you flee even before you're falling, and if you're in already, how do you begin to plan ways out. So it's I'm empowered with this knowledge, and I'm sharing it as well.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Who wants to go next?
I can go next. I think as in terms of mentoring or supervising here at Women at the Center, what I try to do is um, let the student lead in terms of what they want to do or they needs. Usually I try to mirror how I was younger, starting placement student, and I was shy. I didn't want to ask questions, even if I did not understand what that meant or what the acronym means or where to find the information. So I try to lead that way and welcome questions. And it's okay if you don't understand it at first. Please ask questions. That's how you learn. And let them give them the tools of like how to navigate the organization, the different processes, but let them lead in terms of what they want to do. That's what I try to do. And in terms of in my own community in Montreal, as you said, like Black women in the GBV sector are very sparse. But here in Montreal, we've tried to create kind of a web of a network. So what I try to do with younger folks, younger Black women working in GBV, I try to offer support, open ear. Oftentimes, they're the only Black women in this space as well, and they face issues, racism, sexism, misogynoir, you name it. So I try to offer open ear, offer resources, and just make sure that I'm there and that I've experienced the same experiences as them. So just trying to be there and just to make sure that they have their own limits as well. Because as Black women, we want to save the world, so just to remind themselves and to center themselves in terms of like what they need. So yeah.
Tara, before Haji, I go to you. Tara, do you want to sort of share some of the experiences of working on the BW Advancing Gender Equity in movement and the meaning of community and how the work, again, trauma-informed workspaces sort of translates into that particular project?
Yes, as folks might not know, we have an initiative here at Women at the Center that is called Advancing Gender Equity for Black Women, Girls, trans folks, and gender diverse people here in Canada. So we're a small but mighty team of Black women who self-identify as survivors. So I think what works within the team is we have the shared values. We are trauma-informed as well, so we know the experiences of survivors working together. And as well, I think what's great is as Black folks create Black Roots Initiative and create things on their own, that's how we lead in the research. So we try to create a network across Canada, meeting and connected with folks across Canada, Black advocates who work in the GBV sector. So I think that having those values shared, those experiences of anti-Black racism that we've all experienced, and leading with that and leading with care and creating that network and that collaboration across Canada. I think that's really what's the value of the initiative that we have. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. So, Hadia, what about you? Mentoring and being mentored.
In terms of being mentored, like from the beginning, like Samaya has always like encouraged me to grow. There were things like I told her like from the beginning, like public speaking is not something that I'm good at, but it's something that I want to improve at. Like I can't believe right now that I'm in this space because like public speaking is not my thing. But like I don't feel nervous right now. So proud of myself. And I feel like Samaya has at times voluntold me to be in those like facilitating spaces, and it's really helped me grow. But she's always like supported me in just growing outside of that as well. Like she's always encouraged me to like just because she's my supervisor doesn't mean she's the only one I get to work with. She's encouraged me to reach out to other staff members and ask them if they need any help so I can get the most experience that I can. As well, like everyone, I feel like she may be my supervisor, but everyone that I've had the chance to work with has mentored me in a way, like Mandira, Kelsey, like everyone that I've had the opportunity to even work with just on one tiny little thing, they've had an impact on my growth as a person, and like in terms of the knowledge that I have of the GBV sector and the work that you guys do.
We do.
We do, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's been really powerful, just like learning from everyone. And then in terms of mentoring, like Chinenye, I feel like I've started to really um, try to share the knowledge that I've gained here and in school um, to the women in my circle, because I feel like GBV is not something that's talked about enough or even at all a lot of the times in like the culture that I grew up in. So talking to family members and just like friends I have about it, it's been a really like good experience, because it's I just want to be able to spread that knowledge as much as I can, because it's just something that really needs to be talked about, because it especially women of color are like affected disproportionately. So having that knowledge and awareness of GBV is and the signs of GBV and coercive control, it's so important, especially for young girls. I have young cousins, and I just want to create a safer world for them.
Mhm.
And I want them from a young age to know all these signs so that they can like avoid it as best possible, and just be safe, because it could be a dangerous world at times.
Mm, yeah. I think as I we were talking about this sort of the end of the 3 day virtual conference and as a fireside chat, what I was thinking was that by the end of this, participants would get an understanding of not just how we as an organization that is a gender-based violence organization, how we work and how we are so impactful, how we work as survivors and how we're so impactful. But my hope was that people would get an understanding that it is possible to work in this way and be successful. It is not something that is unique. The attitudes and the skills and the energy and the heart that staff, volunteers, placement students come into the work with, we're ordinary people. We're ordinary people, but we've just made this commitment to transform not just our lives, but the lives of our colleagues and other survivors. And so the commitment to create this culture of trauma informed and then practice it on the daily is something that I'm hoping that other organizations, academic institutions, banks, whoever, understand that they can adopt. And so, sort of the last question is, why do you think it's important to have this type of culture, trauma informed culture in a workspace? I'm going to start backwards now with Hadia, then Chinenya, then Taha.
I think one of the big things for me, having a trauma informed perspective when you're working with survivors really helps to avoid re traumatizing, because the traditional way of like providing service to survivors can be really, really triggering and can lead to re traumatization. Um, so having that trauma informed perspective and understanding that they need to be in the lead, and that every survivor's journey is going to be different, is really, really important to avoid re-traumatizing them. Um, and I think that it also really encourages them to be empowered to, like, once they're at that point in their journey, to also do their part as well. Like, I feel like that's something that I've really seen at Women at the Center specifically. It's a very empowering, like, there's so many programs that I think for survivors where once you're at that point, you can do your part to help other survivors. And that's really beautiful to me. Yeah, I'll say that for now.
Goosebumps. Goosebumps. Beautiful. Chinenya.
Yeah, that's lovely, Hadi. You said you say just that for now, but that's a lot too. And to add to what you've just said, one other thing that stands out to me in a trauma informed workplace, both for the staff and the members and our peers that we provide service to, is that we are fostering safety and trust. Um, we all know that the absence of safety and trust is not a nice place to be,
Mm.
and every survivor has been there, where you do not feel safe and you do not see anybody around you that you can trust. So, a trauma informed workplace provides this. And when safety, trust, security is settled, then the survivor is able to now take on the empowerment, take on agency of their own lives and their stories, and be able to move. So that is one reason why I think it's important. In addition to all other reasons, that safety and trust in an environment, I think it's very important, because upon that is where the survivor is even able to voice out what is going on within them. They first have to have established that I am safe here, I
Mm.
can trust this person, then I can talk to this person. So it starts with that for me. Thank you.
Wow. Mic drop. Mics are dropping. Not that?
They are. I feel like I don't know what to say. No, it was beautifully said. I echo everything that Shananya and Heidi says. I think that it's important to have a trauma informed approach, because survivor needs to be trusted, as you said, supported, and they need to feel heard as well. And I was thinking about that yesterday. I think that it's important because we have to be the agents of liberation and healing, because there are so many barriers and obstacles that are going through a survivor's way as she puts herself back up. So for me, I think that we have a duty to be agents of healing and liberation, and agents of just this cocoon of security, as we said before, and to accompany them and support them. And yeah,
I just wanted to type your comment about our responsibility, our duty to be agents of healing and liberation. And I keep thinking of the film that Leanne, the smallest step film that we saw this morning, and how inspired I was, right, by everything that was being said, and then how proud I was that our organization, this is our life, this is our work and our passion and our life's work, right? And the legacy that we're leaving is going to outlast, our time. I'm hoping to retire in a couple of years. I don't want to be doing this, when I'm 70, but I want to make a difference. I want to leave a legacy. And I think that creating this workspace where other people look at us and think, holy smokes, these people are amazing. Look at the stuff they're doing. And I want to do that as well. I think is really, really a compelling work. And I think going back to the 3-day virtual forum conference, calling it heart work, is reflected in our team, right? Because, and people might not know, our lovely colleague Sonia Boyce was the one that coined. She talks about the work being hard work, but it's also heart work. So many who join the sector come because they have a love for others, right? They believe and they want to do something because the harm has happened to them. And so I am really grateful to the three of you for joining me on this lovely conversation. And I'm really grateful for the magic that, with or without wands, that you are all weaving. And I'm going to open it up for a few seconds, a few moments, to participants if they have any questions to the team, to myself, or any questions in general about how we do this trauma-informed work. If you want more information, reach out, let us know. So any questions? I haven't been looking at the chat. Any questions? Yes, to creating safer worlds and spaces. Oh, the none of us can tell is to Hadia, because you look like you were born public speaking. Any questions from anyone? Oh, and thank you, Sandy, for sharing the survey for the Emojinwa code. And a quick shout out. We are having Tara, do you want to talk about the Rania's event on Monday?
Yes. As we talked about our project or initiative, advancing gender equity for Black women, girls, and gender diverse folks across Canada. We are trying to organize some events, reach out to more folks, more survivors, folks who want to get involved or learn more about anti-Black gender-based violence. So on Monday, we'll be hosting a workshop between 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. EST. It's called Care Work for Black Lives. It's a workshop that is really exclusive for folks who self-identify as Black, and it will be facilitated by the amazing Rania, an amazing activist, Black feminist in Canada who does amazing work. So we welcome you to go there. You can look up our information on our social media, the Emojinwa code on those social media, and you'll have the link. And I think it's in the chat as well. So if you click on the chat, you can click on the Eventbrite link and you can sign up. So if folks who are Black or want to learn more about how we can support each other as Black folks, as Black survivors, you are welcome to come on Monday between 7 and 9 p.m. EST.
Beautiful. So I want to thank Tara, Chinenya, and Hadia again for joining me for this fireside chat. We could have continued talking for another hour, but we are getting close to wrapping up. And so I want to say thank you to the three of you, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nneka.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.